Wing progression. When, how, what? I want to talk about all the things related to progressing to the next glider in today's video.
I'm just happy to be alive today.
This is Chris. He just came through one of our recent adventure training programs, and one of the topics that was a big topic of the class was wing progression. You guys were working on your energy management and a handful of other things that ultimately lead to stepping up to the next glider. Well, we had a lot of conversations around glider progression, and I wanted to jump on here and make a video about some of those topics.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I wanted to pass the torch a little bit over to Chris. How long have you been flying, Chris?
I've been flying for about 1.5 years now.
Okay, and how many hours do you have?
When I finish the class, I have 94 hours of flight time.
So when did you start kind of thinking, and what are some of the questions around progressing to the next glider?
I would say around 50 or 60 hours of flight time in. I was pretty comfortable with the mundane, just, you know, easy going, exploring. Wanted to get into a little more fun stuff. Realized that I needed training. Came to get the training that I needed. And then I found out that, well, it's a lot of fun to play with more energy. And at first it was a bit scary. I won't lie about that. It was a bit scary at first, just for the unknown reasons. Now that I've played with it a little bit, and now that I'm a lot more comfortable with it, I was thinking about, am I ready to step up to the next wing? Are there any tips or tricks that you may have that would give the average Joe a good idea as to whether or not they are ready for the next level of wing?
Yeah, some great questions, some great things that I would love to discuss with you. What are some things you were hoping to get out of the next level of glider?
Well, hopefully just more playfulness and all around more fun, faster wing.
Feeling like the word is more.
Yes, more.
Okay.
I just want more, yes.
Cool. So first thing I wanted to talk about is kind of the differences that you're gonna experience going from what we'll call a level 1 wing, which we'll classify as the beginner gliders, the Ozone Spider 3, the Dudek Solo and Universal, the Velocity Core 2, the beginner level of gliders, to the level 2 gliders, which we'll consider the intermediate level gliders. Some of the big differences that you're going to experience as you step to the next level of glider, firstly, the roll rate is gonna increase. This is partly because you'll probably step down a size in glider. As you go to a hotter, more advanced glider, they tend to be more efficient. They have a higher aspect ratio and they produce more lift, which means you can go down in sizes. As you go down in sizes, your roll rate increases, as well as those gliders just tend to have a better roll rate. So now when you go up to fly and you pull the same amount of brake in terms of movement that you were pulling before, you're gonna get more roll rate than you were. The next thing, and the thing that's much more important to me when we're conversating about progressing, is that it's gonna give you more energy.
Yes.
So a lot of the conversation around this adventure training class that we just did with you was around energy management. The most important thing is understanding, 1, how is it built? 2, how do you get rid of it?
Yes, sir.
And 3, what do you do with it? As you step from the level 1 glider to the level 2 glider, and then the 3 and 4, instead of only receiving, let's say, 30% of the total energy, where the wing literally eats it up, like when you fly something hotter, you'll notice like, oh, that first glider, it's literally just like grabbing the energy and holding on to it.
Yeah.
Right? It's not giving it to you. As you go to the level 2, it's like, here's some more, which gives you more playfulness in some regard, because now you have more to play with.
Right.
And it's super fun and it's super great. Before you can step to that level of glider, you have to understand energy.
Right.
It's not that you need to know how to do wing overs and barrel rolls, but you need to know how is it built
and how to dissipate.
How to get rid of it. And both ways of how to get rid of it. And you need to be comfortable, confident, proficient with burning off energy. And then as you step to like the level 3 gliders, which are gonna be more of the advanced gliders, you're gonna get even more of that energy.
Right.
So like example, the Spider 3 might give you 33% of the energy, the Sirocco 3 might give you like 66% of the energy, and the Viper is gonna give you like 100% of the energy, or as close to 100%. And don't take that as exacts, but that's like a rough kind of example.
Right.
So for me, when students are coming to me, you know, they're coming through the adventure training training, a lot of the guys coming through the adventure training have that question and want that reassurance that they're ready. The first thing is like, okay, well, you need to show me, one, you don't have oscillation on launch and landing. Right? You're not out of control with the inputs, because that just means as we increase the roll rate, if you're out of control with the inputs, now we have more to deal with.
Right.
You're calm, you're smooth, you can fly well. Two, you understand the pendulum, which was the first thing that we had you go up and practice, as well as the other guys. Is for those of you that don't know, the pendulum effect is something we experience, which essentially means that we have this kind of rocking back and forth between the glider and us. Whereas a typical airplane, you're kind of in between the wings, so the roll is different. We're below, so there's this sway. So when I say understanding the pendulum, I just mean, can you use that in your favor? Do you know how to build it, how to use it? When you're new, you're gonna have really struggled to get this wing to naturally flow back and forth. And I need you to understand how to naturally flow that glider back and forth consistently, evenly, and at level flight.
Right.
Which is the first thing that I had you guys all go up there and do. The next one is, do you know how to exit vertically? Do you know how to dissipate that energy just like straight up like a rocket ship? And that was the next thing that we had you guys work on. And then can you build it and exit straight up and just be super confident and comfortable with that? And then oscillation is a big one too. We didn't really have to conversate or work on oscillation with you guys. You know, we talk about this roll rate. You need to understand this roll rate. You need to be in control of the roll because we're gonna give you more. Well, if you step up to a hotter glider that rolls harder and you don't have good oscillation control, and you come into land and you do the wrong input low, it's amplified.
Right.
Right. And so that's one of the things that we look at. As far as, you know, progressing to that next glider, some of the things you're gonna get in addition to this roll rate energy is often speed. So a lot of the times people who wanna progress in gliders, they wanna progress because they can't keep up anymore. All their buddies are faster than them. Even if it's 3 miles an hour, that makes a big difference in an hour-long flight, right?
Yes, it sure does.
And so being able to keep up with your friends is something people are wanting as they progress in gliders. Next one is efficiency. Fuel burn. Fuel burn to distance covered, right? So you're gonna get a slightly better fuel burn and or a matched fuel burn to what you were getting, but you're going faster.
Right.
So like on a Spider 3, I'm probably doing like, I don't know, 25 miles an hour, 26.
Yeah.
On my Viper XC, I'm doing 33. Right, so a pretty sizable jump in speed.
Very much.
8 or 7 miles an hour, whatever. And so if we go flying, like we really notice that difference.
Yes.
So those are some of the characteristics that you start to see, and those are some of the things you look for. So if you're like wondering when it's time to progress, well, firstly, you know, you got to ask yourself these questions. Can you control oscillation like perfectly? If someone watched you fly, would they even know what oscillation is because they never see it? Or would they clearly know what oscillation is? You watch a new pilot fly and you'll see them oscillate all the time. Right? They do a turn, they exit the turn too quickly and there's a little oscillation and then it stops, right? You would see the oscillation.
Right.
You watch an advanced pilot fly and if I taught you what oscillation was, you'd probably never even see it and be like, I don't know if it even exists, right?
Right.
That's kind of what we're shooting for. Like, can you control the oscillation? One of the best ways to know how good you are at that is to follow a straight line, like the edge of this road or a railroad track, like 50 feet, 30 feet, 10 feet, because you'll notice if you're drifting off course. If you can stay on course, stay on heading, maintain altitude, that is a great checkbox in are you ready to progress? And then the energy question. Do you know how energy is built? Do you know how to get rid of it? You may not be the guy that's interested in doing barrel rolls and wingovers. There's a lot of guys out there on advanced gliders, Vipers and stuff like that are like not into the barrel roll thing. And that's totally cool. You can want the more advanced glider for other reasons than the energy and roll rate. You can want it because you want the efficiency, you want the speed, you want those things. That's fine. But you need to know how to get rid of that energy because it's gonna give it to you.
Right.
An example of something that has happened in the past with a pilot who was on way too much of a glider than he was ready. He was doing his wingovery things. He screwed up timing. He exited vertically. He didn't have good control of that vertical exit. Took a huge collapse, riser twist. Right? He didn't know how to handle himself in that situation. A beginner glider would never have let that happen because it wouldn't have given enough energy for that to happen. It gave him enough energy that it got really dynamic. The pilot was okay, but it was a ugly situation that could have been avoided. And then, you know, do you know how to use it? You don't need to know how to use it in terms of wingovers and barrel rolls, but can you enter into a spiral and get out of the spiral? Like, do you know what's going on?
Right.
You don't gotta be a barrel roll pro, but you need to kind of understand it. So like with all of that being said, when it came to you, Chris, you came through the class, you showed right away you understand the oscillation.
Yes, sir.
Didn't struggle oscillating, or if you did, we pointed it out and you immediately stopped it, because sometimes people don't realize like, hey, you really shouldn't let that happen. Even though it's not that big of a deal, you should be in control of it. You understand the pendulum, you could pendulum well. You understood how to burn off energy, how it was built. For me, as the instructor, I have no problems handing you the next level of glider. Then the next question would be, which level do we go to?
Right.
You know, do we go to 2 or do we go to 3? I have given pilots the okay to skip over the intermediate gliders with only one glider, and that's the Viper XC. So there have been pilots that have gone from Spiders straight to Viper XCs because those pilots showed great understanding of energy. They even could wing over and barrel roll and like all of that stuff. Launches were clean, landings were clean. And the reason the Viper XC is an exception is because the Viper XC's roll rate is nothing that crazy.
Right. It's
not that much more than a Sirocco. And so that's one of those kind of exceptions. I would probably be more inclined to level you up to this level 2.
Okay.
Right? Because Sean was doing huge barrel rolls and wing overs, and we didn't get quite to that point, and so we don't even need that level of energy. Right? We're not looking for that.
Yeah.
So we don't need that. And so understanding the next level to go to can sometimes be this hard balance. It is very good to go from 1, 2 to 3. The hour marks are also a good indicator. One thing that we want to remember is skill and experience are different.
Yes.
We could have a really unskilled experienced pilot. We could have a very skilled unexperienced pilot.
Yes.
Experience is important. When you're thinking about leveling up to this next glider, you need to have experience under that glider. And no 2 hours are the same.
This is very true.
You can have 100 hours on the beach reverse launching, and you're totally different from the guy that had 100 hours mountain flying in thermals, cross country, those things.
Yeah.
The two pilots are very different. You could have 100 hours where you did a whole bunch of touch and goes. You worked extensively on your energy management, your pendulum, all of those things, your motor out landing ability, like all of that. And you could have the 100-hour dude that flew 50 times flat and level around his LZ for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Totally different pilots, which is why the hour marker is not a perfect way of indicating when you're ready for the next step. Roughly around 70 to 100 hours is where I'm stepping pilots up to the level 2 gliders, Siroccos, Speedsters, stuff like that. Somewhere around 150 to 200 hours is where we're stepping to level 3.
Okay.
Again, there's some exceptions. It depends on how many hours you have. It depends on how much time you spent with instructors. I think that's a thing that's undervalued.
Yes.
Right? If you're at 50 hours, get around someone who can critique, who can work on bad habits, who can point you in a good direction, because you can progress faster if you do that. So those are some of the things, the questions, the stuff that I look at, that I take into consideration when I'm discussing leveling up gliders with pilots. I tend to err on the side of under leveling instead of over leveling.
I would agree with that.
I have seen it get dynamic,
right?
I've seen it get too spicy. And the other thing to keep in mind is I don't think everybody needs to be on the super hot gliders.
No.
There are a lot of pilots out there that can exist their entire flying career on the level 1s and be totally happy.
Right.
If you're 58, you're 65, you're going to explore, you do not need to be on a Freerider Viper XC.
Yeah.
The Spider 3, Roadster 4 are totally gonna do you well. One of the things that I have pilots do if they reach out to me and they're asking, since we're still on this, we're just rambling at this point, they have them send me videos of launches and landings.
Yeah.
So if you're wondering like what level are you ready for, how well are you flying, send me a video of your launches and landings, or another instructor.
Yeah.
I can gather, and you tend to be able to gather a lot of information from that.
Right.
And primarily the oscillation and all of those things that are a key piece in stepping up. And then if you've got wing over videos and stuff like that, that's also a key piece of information. The best thing you can do is to come to somebody.
Yes.
So I've had pilots in the past that want to know if they're ready for the next level, and they had the ability to come to our field and fly. And they literally just came out here and I just said, go fly. And I watched them fly, and it was able to see very quickly, like, yeah, you totally could progress to the next level wing.
Right.
And then they did. Cool, well, hey guys, thank you so much for watching. If you're wondering if you're ready for the next level of glider, I'd be happy to help guide you in that direction. Reach out to me either via email right here or my phone number right here. Here at Backcountry PPG, which is the paramotor training school that I run, we do carry every single brand of paramotor gliders and paraglider gliders. I'd be happy to guide you in a good direction and help you with your next wing purchase. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like this video. It hugely helps out the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to my YouTube channel if you found this useful. Comment down below if you've got something to add. And with all of that being said, I will see you all next time.